Deep in the golden sands of ancient Egypt, there's this legend buried. It's a tale about a god king, a cursed woman, and a love so powerful it literally dared to defy death itself. And today, we're gonna dig it up.
But before we get into it, I want to ask you something. A big question, and I really want you to think about it as we go through this story. If the price of true love was your own life, would you pay it?
All right, so our story starts with a king. You know, like so many great stories do. But listen, this was no ordinary king. We're talking about the mighty Pharaoh, Amon-Ra Setekh, a man who sat on a throne that, from his perspective, looked out over the entire known world. See, he wasn't just a ruler. To his people, he was a living god. I mean, they built massive temples just to honor him. His armies, totally invincible. His name alone was like a prayer for his followers and a curse for anyone who dared to stand against him. Just try to picture it. Rivers of gold, legions of soldiers ready to march at his command, servants who could grant any wish, any whim. He had everything, all the material wealth a person could possibly dream of. The world was basically his. But for all that power, for all that wealth, a deep, echoing loneliness filled the halls of his palace. Every single night, he'd find himself just staring up at the stars. He was the king of everything, but he was the master of nothing that actually mattered, nothing that the heart craves. And then, one night, everything changed. Destiny just showed up. A crazy, violent desert storm was raging, and right in the middle of all that chaos, something, or, well, someone, appeared who was about to change his entire life. Lightning is cracking across the sky, and that's when the Pharaoh sees her. A single figure, just standing there, completely defiant, in the heart of this raging storm. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't even moving. It was almost like the storm itself was bending to her will. So his guards bring her inside and he asks for her name. Her reply? Super simple. Nefira. That's it. No title, no family name, and absolutely zero fear in her voice. And you have to understand, in that one moment, her quiet presence was more powerful than any army he had ever faced in his life. So what happened next was, well, maybe it was inevitable, but it was also completely forbidden. A love started to grow, hidden away in the secret corners of the palace. But this love story, it carried a darkness with it. A shadow that threatened to swallow everything. They'd meet in secret, taking these long walks through the gardens by moonlight. And when he was with her, he wasn't a god, he wasn't a king, he was just a man. And honestly, for the first time in his entire life, this powerful pharaoh, Amon-Ra Setekh, felt truly alive. He was falling completely in love. But you know, a love like that, born in the shadows, it doesn't stay secret for long. The royal priests, they sensed something was off. The whole balance of the kingdom felt wrong to them. So they went to the pharaoh with this really dire warning. They told him they could see an ancient darkness clinging to her, a danger that could bring the whole kingdom down. So now he's filled with doubt, right? The pharaoh follows her one night to this forbidden temple, and what he saw there, it just shattered his entire world. He sees Nefira, and she's glowing with this eerie, unnatural light. Her eyes are pure white, and then these ghost-like shadows start rising up from the ground all around her. It was clear. She wasn't human. Of course, he confronts her, and through her tears, she tells him the horrifying truth. Turns out, she was a princess from a long-forgotten time who had betrayed the gods. And her punishment? Eternal life, immortality. But it came with this absolutely terrible price. Anyone who truly, deeply loved her was doomed to die. So there it is, the impossible choice. He could go back to his life of incredible power, but he'd be facing that crushing loneliness forever. Or he could have one perfect moment of real love, knowing that it would absolutely guarantee his own death. What do you even do with a choice like that? Nefira, of course, begged him to leave her, to just save himself. But the pharaoh's mind was already made up. He just looked at her and said the words that would seal his fate. And those words revealed that his real fear, it wasn't dying. His real fear was having to live without her. So with his choice made, the pharaoh walked toward his destiny. And he wasn't just going to sit back and accept his fate. No way. He was going to seize it. He was going to turn his own death into an act of love, the ultimate sacrifice.
He'd found something in these old forbidden scrolls, an ancient ritual, a way to actually break her curse. But the cost was absolute. It was non-negotiable. One life for one life. His life for her freedom.
So, on the night of the blood moon, with this creepy red light washing over everything, he stood in that ancient temple. The entire world just went silent. Nefira was pleading with him, begging him to stop, her cries echoing off the stone walls. But his love, at this point, it was like a force of nature. It was unstoppable. The ritual reaches its peak, and you can just imagine the pain racking his body. But he doesn't stop. He never falters. And then, in one final, absolutely heartbreaking moment, the curse transfers, and the mighty Pharaoh just turns to dust, right there, in the arms of the woman he loved. But here's the thing, the story doesn't actually end with his death. In a way, his sacrifice gave the story a whole new kind of life. His love echoed on long after he was gone, and it turned this personal tragedy into a legend, one that, they say, still breathes in the desert winds. So what happened then? Well, with his death, the curse was finally broken. Nefira became human again. She was free. But without its god king, the kingdom, it just crumbled. It fell into ruin, totally forgotten by history. The only thing that was left was their story, passed along as a whisper from one traveler to the next. And that whisper, that legend, it says that even today, if you're out in the desert at the right time, you might see a woman walking alone in the dunes under the moonlight, always waiting. And people with sharp eyes, they swear that sometimes they can see a shadow walking right beside her, a ghostly king still protecting the woman he loves. And really, that's the heart of this whole story, isn't it? It kind of shows us that the most powerful love stories, they don't always have a happy ending. Sometimes they're the ones that end in a sacrifice so big, so profound, that they become eternal legends. So that brings us right back to where we started, back to that question. Now that you've heard the whole story of the Pharaoh and his forbidden love, now that you really know the cost, the pain, and what his sacrifice truly meant, let me ask you again, would you make that same choice?